Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Elemental Hero manga deck profile for May 2019. Of all the Elemental Hero deck profiles, this is one I've actually been pretty excited to make. I'm a big fan of all the manga cards for the GX deck that Jaden ran, including a bunch of different units that were given to him by his old friend that he played Yu-Gi-Oh with during the beginning, before the actual series began. So I'm focusing this deck on all of those heroes, along with some assistance from some of the other cards, just to help with consistently summoning out the fusions, with the big fusion being the Terra Firma fusion between Woodsman and Ocean, and all the other different ones he had as well in the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, I run 3 Elemental Hero Woodsmen. With this one, once per turn during your standby phase, you can add 1 polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So just having this consistency with Woodsman definitely does help for your plays. The fact that it has 2,000 defense means if you really wanted to and you didn't have the fusion, you could set it up there. And if your opponent happens to, attack into it and still survives and leaves it on the field, next turn you get that polymerization for your fusion plays. So very, very helpful there for sure. Plus, with all the manga cards, we are also running the Masked Heroes. So we have options to go into Masked Hero Diane with Woodsman also, if we wanted to go for that play instead. And then the next important hero for the Terra Firma deck is Elemental Hero Ocean. Both Woodsman and Ocean are needed for the fusion of our go-to monster, Elemental Hero Terra Firma. So with this one, once per turn during your standby phase, you can return 1 Elemental Hero or Destiny Hero monster from your side of the field or graveyard to the owner's hand. So just that consistency for recycle definitely does come in handy with this deck, just giving you that option if this monster is on the field still during your standby phase to use that effect. But 3 of each I find just most consistent, so you have those cards to go for the recycle power, and also for the fact that you need them for your main fusion of the deck. But for the backup fusion, which is Elemental Hero Inferno, I decided to go with the numbers of 2 Elemental Hero Lady Heat and 2 Elemental Hero Heat, with Heat gaining 200 attack for each face-up Elemental Hero you control. So you have definitely some bump-up power with this card. And then Lady Heat, during each of your end phases, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each face-up Elemental Hero monster you control. So the burn damage definitely is another plus benefit for sure, but both of these are needed to make Inferno the other fusion, and also just having Masked Hero targets for Goka is another important play. Also, just so you have all your options available to you, or even just having a fusion target for Nova Master can be just as good as well. Decided to go for 2 and 2 for each of these. The main play still is Terra Firma, but still having these better options also just for more attack point monsters with Heat, and that burn option especially just to dwindle down your opponent. And for sort of a more fun play for some of the one-ofs, I run 1 Elemental Hero Nospe and 1 Elemental Hero Poison Rose. Once again, this is strictly meant to be a fun deck for sure. So just being able to, if you open up your spell card, which we'll get to when we get to the spells, your Rosebud, which is used to summon out Poison Rose by using Nospe. With this one, you can easily get out this special summon card. If that doesn't happen, you still have these cards for resources in your hand if you draw them for your fusion plays. And other than that, it's really easy to search out your Nospe with Emergency Call. And it all comes down to if you open up your Rosebud spell card and wish to go for that play. So usually if you open up Rosebud, you'll have a faster way to get to this Elemental Hero for that special summon. And then for a couple other one-offs, wouldn't be a manga deck without 1 Elemental Hero Voltic. If you clear the field and this card can inflict battle damage easier to your opponent, you can special summon 1 of your removed from play Elemental Hero monsters. So very, very helpful. Just as a one-of though for that option, but very much better one-of is Elemental Hero Stratos. Just with that special summon option and normal summon to search a hero monster or even destroy Spiral Traps for how many other hero monsters you have in the field. Can't go wrong with that at all. And we do have a lot of specifically named cards in the deck. So 3 Elemental Hero Prisma definitely does help, just to take the name of some of those cards that we may not draw, just to add for those numbers and set them up in the graveyard, because we do run Miracle Fusion also just as a backup play for the deck to summon out cards when we have the resources in the graveyard to use. And also I run 3 Elemental Hero Blazeman. This one, being able to search out polymerization, is your big key play with this one for sure. Just for that, and then also just being able to have that option available to you for that play by sending one Elemental Hero monster except for Blazeman, and then have its attribute and attack is another added bonus, since we have a lot of Elemental Heroes just with generic stats as well for the deck. And then just a few more added options. I run 3 Elemental Hero Solid Soldier, and I have the 1 Shadow Mist, but this ratio for Shadow Mist, if you want to run more, can go back and forth between how many Blazeman and Solid Soldier you run. So if you want to increase your Shadow Mist numbers, you can either reduce the number of Solid Soldier, you can reduce the Blazeman number, or if you wish to entirely, you can take out the options of any of these cards as well. If you want to start with the Poison Rose and Nospe for a little more of a competitive play and less of a fun one to go for, to add the Shadow Mist in for the search power. And then Solid Soldier just helps for getting monsters on the field if you want to go for more link play, or the fact that Miracle Fusion does you need monsters on the field or graveyard to use. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Polymerization. This card is your main one to go for, being able to be searched for by Blazeman and Woodsman for your fusion plays. Very, very important, especially if you don't have your setup for Miracle Fusion, which can be set up most of the time with this card alone. And I also run 3 Emergency Call, being able to search for whatever you need, just an additional help for your fusion plays, because we do, like I said, have monsters in the deck with specific names for your summons. So just having this option to search out what you need is definitely a game changer for sure. And then for added fusion, 2 Miracle Fusion. I decided just on 2 of this card. If you open up too many of this early game and you don't have your cards set up on the field or graveyard, just not as good as if you had Polymerization, which can, rely on cards in the hand as well to set up for this card. And I also run 1 A Hero Lives. This is just for the consistency of special summoning out a level 4 lower elemental hero from your deck. You can even grab Stratos for the life point costs and then get that search off there if need be. And I also run the 1 of the Rosebuds. This can be taken out for Upstart Goblin or Staple if you decide to remove Nospe and Poison Rose for additional Shadow Mists also if need be. Or even you could reduce that number and increase your number of mass changes up to 3 if you wish. I only have 2 in this, but this number can honestly be moved around for some of the other spells you run in the deck also for that. And I also run 2 Fusion Recycling Plant. I really do like this card. For the once per turn, you can discard 1 card and add 1 Polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as fusion material for a fusion summon this turn and add to your hand. Like a more consistent Elemental Hero Ocean with this card, basically, but still very, very helpful with that for sure. And just being able to add back the Polymerization just by setting up some other cards. So you just need to discard 1 card, so if you have excess of some other cards and you just can't use as well as a Polymerization, you have that option available to you with Fusion Recycling Plant. And then to finish off, just a couple other of the spells. 1 Monster Reborn. You can make full use of a lot of, elemental heroes when they're special summoned and their effects. And 1 Reinforcements of the Army, just for the added search power for a good number, if not all, of the elemental heroes we run in the deck, which I believe all of them are actually level 4 or lower, except for obviously Poison Rose, which, you want to special summon off a Rosebud anyway from the deck with that spell card. It can be special summoned from the hand, but usually just better that way if you don't end up opening up that card or find no need to search it either. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra, your main card of the deck. I wish I had at least 2 to run in it, but sadly I only have the 1 copy. Is Elemental Hero Terra Firma. You need 1 Elemental Hero Ocean and 1 Elemental Hero Woodsman to make this card. It cannot be special summoned except by fusion summon, and you contribute 1 face-up Elemental Hero monster to have this card gain attack equal to the tribute monster's attack until the end phase. It's not a once per turn either, so if you have the heroes to get this guy bumped up, he can hit for pretty high numbers, especially with this card. And I also run 2 Elemental Hero Inferno. I would reduce this number to the 1 if you wanted to add in an additional Terra Firma. You have the numbers to make this card, especially even with Miracle Fusion being the need be for this if you wish. It just only really goes up good against water monsters when it battled, so you have that option available to you. But other than that, Most of the time I do prefer to stay on Lady Heat and Heat for their own effects, but still very, very fun when you can fusion summon it out for sure. And like I said, very beneficial when you go up against water decks as well. And then for some of the more generic fusions, I run one Elemental Hero Nova Master and one Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. I don't have any Shinings or Gaias or Great Tornadoes, sadly. If I had them, I would take out some of the Link monsters just to add in a few more of those to play, just for the generic fusions that you can do with cards like Woodsman and also cards like Stratos, you name it. Just very, very helpful with those for sure. And for the mass change targets, one Darklaw, one Diane, one Goka, and one Masked Hero Acid. These numbers can honestly change as well depending on what you use, or if you have a preferred one to use and you want to increase your actual fusion targets for the deck also. And I also run the one Vision Hero Trinity, just more generic plays, since I don't have any of the other generic fusions to make, but still very helpful for its big attack and 3 attack power. And then for the Link monsters, I don't have any of the extra heroes, sadly, but if I had any of them, you could replace them. These ones for any of those numbers for those extra heroes, but the Cerberus, Phoenix, Underclock Taker, Trisbana, and Borreload, or just generic ones that are easy to summon out that you can use in the deck. But like I said, I would remove probably the Underclock Taker and the Trisbana to add the Decimator and the other Link 2 extra hero monster into the deck, just for more consistent Link plays with cards like Elemental Hero, Solid Soldier, especially. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, this was a fun deck, and I had a lot of fun making it. I'm not sure what other options I have for Elemental Hero decks, or hero decks in general, but if you want to see any other recommendations, aside from the ones I've already done, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to take them into consideration. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.